that I'm out, I said, you know what? I got to say something. I'm a Black female graduate, and I get it. I get exactly what they're going through. I know how it feels, and it's not fair. I had no idea that this was going to happen. I didn't know it was going to go viral. I just felt like in my position that I should at least lend support to these girls. I felt like they needed to see somebody who went through what they went through having their back. And I think that that's so important because honestly, we haven't done that good of a job of reaching back to the academy and holding and gripping hands with our sisters. We haven't. And after that conference, I said, a lot of us said to ourselves, we got to do this. And so this was the moment. I said, I'll be a hypocrite if I just went up there, hugged all these ladies, held the panel, we're all talking about all this unity, and then I don't have my sisters back. If I allow the public to crucify them, I'm no better than the public. And that's really what motivated me.
So for some of you out, this is your first time on Blab, or you don't know how to understand how it works. If you have a question, or if you want to jump in and ask Mary any questions, just let me know. I can bring you in as we continue the conversation. If you just want to type in some comments, they're popping up here on the right-hand side under the chat, and we can kind of go through those as well, where appropriate. Let's talk about assimilation, because what you just talked about is something that not only you having, obviously it's intensified through the Corps and through ARM, but we all, as minorities, whether we're Black or women or Hispanic or homosexual or whatever, there's a level of assimilation to the culture, the body at large, in order for us to function. One thing that you mentioned in your article, to shrink your Blackness is to avoid all talks of what it really means to be Black at West Point. Put your head down and focus on graduation. It's the worst kind of coping mechanism because I have rarely seen it result in anything other than disdain for our alma mater.
Yeah.
When I talk to you, my wife, to others, whether male or female, when we talk about the experience at West Point, because I'll be quite candid with you, I'm fat. It's part of the reason that I married my wife and dated my wife is that when I said, oh, this woman fine, and she speaks French, and she went to West Point, all that stuff was very intriguing to me. And then the only other West Point I knew prior to her was my neighbor from right across the street. He was a West Point graduate as well. And he was just always, you could always tell the life experience and world experience was so much different than most of us who grew up in the hood, right?
Right.
And so, but that assimilation is magnified in your world. Talk to us about you challenging that level of assimilation now that you're out and you feel comfortable, being a change agent in that space.
That's a great question because the feedback that I've gotten from a lot of minority graduates is, oh my gosh, Mary, you spoke exactly to our experience. Like, how are you able to articulate exactly what we do every single day? Mm-hmm. What it is you come into this environment, right? Well, they immediately strip you of your identity, right? That's everything. Mm-hmm. Look, we don't care where you came from. I mean, they take your watches. They take everything. You don't even wear your same old glasses. They give you these horrible glasses that literally make you look different than you really are. And they say you are now a cadet in the United States Corps of Cadets. Like that's your identity. Is that you're a cadet now. And
gotcha.
Your future identity is an officer in the United States military. So those are the two identities you're allowed to have. The catch is the underlying culture is that of a white male.
Right.
Bottom line. The traditions, the music, the dress, everything is geared towards a white male. That's the way the institution was designed. That's what it was founded on. And that's why when you inject others like Black men, inject Henry O. Flipper into the institution. Oh, no, you don't look like the white male. So what do? We don't know how to react to you. We silence you for 4 years because we don't know how to deal with you. So instead of trying to uncover his strengths, what he can add to the Corps, why was he even admitted to the Corps? Why is he surviving in the Corps versus Johnson C. Whitaker, who was falsely drummed out of the Corps before him? Like, why? What is it about you, Henry O. Flipper, that makes you integrate well? No, they decided to silence him. And you know, we got it wrong for many years.
And literally from your article, you said they did not speak to him for the 4 years he was at the
They did not speak to him for 4 years. They wouldn't sit with him at a table. They wouldn't converse with him in classrooms. Many professors didn't talk to him directly. They passed him papers with his assignment on it. It is a miracle that he even graduated. Plain and simple.
Right.
So there's your baseline. And so the culture is built on that of white men, right? And then you inject blacks, you inject Hispanics, Native Americans, you inject women, which causes a complete shift. But even though the women come in, they say, okay, we'll change the uniform here too. We'll make sure that we have bathrooms and barracks to accommodate. But you need to change yourself to fit in, because we're not changing ourselves to accommodate you, because accommodation was looked at as a weakness. So imagine you come in as a black woman. Now you have the double pressure of trying to fit in. I have to now do my best to shrink my womanhood, and now I have to do my best to shrink my black. What you find is you go, okay, I won't talk about my culture, even though it's completely different than how you grew up, right? I won't talk about how you might like mustard greens versus like I like collard greens, right?
Because you're a Southern girl from Atlanta, right, so yeah, right. That's right.
I don't do that, right? Because I'm taught, don't magnify any differences. I must appear to be as much as possible the same as everybody else. And what am I comparing myself to? White men. That's always. And you're constantly doing that. The way you dance, the way you dress. You're forced to hold back even what you might like to do with hobbies. Now, granted, it worked positively for me, right? Because I learned how to canoe. I learned how to ski. I was in a hot tub in the wintertime in upstate New York. So it's not all bad. But what it is that there was never that willingness from the dominant culture to experience me. And if I tried to express that through clubs like the Gospel Choir or through CAS, which is the Contemporary Affairs Seminar, I was always asked to still accommodate. There was a time, and I'm sure Tracy has shared that with you, when I was a leader in the Corps Cadets. And I was literally brought in by senior leadership and asked to go tell the Black cadets to stop sitting together at football games and in the lunchroom, in the mess hall. And I stood there at attention incredulously for at least 5 minutes. Like, I cannot believe I'm being asked this. Because there's literally 4,000 other people who sit together who look exactly like each other. And you're not asking them to break themselves up. Go ahead.
It's an amazing experience that we all have as Black folk.
Yes.
It's almost like we're gravitating, we're pulled to each other like magnets.
Yes.
Because culturally, everybody is pulled to each other by magnets. They're called similarities, right?
Absolutely.
But then you're supposed to dumb down the similarities, not recognize what is your carnal wants and needs. And I can imagine that. But what I found, not only with you, obviously my wife and other West Pointers that I know, is that you have a tremendous coping mechanism that some others don't have.
Right. And
of course, it's helping you guys see, but I'm sure those 4 years undergrad and those whatever years you do in the military.
We have examples like the Henry O. Flippers. We have the Benjamin O. Davises. We even have outside of the academy, the Colin Powells, or within the academy, Vincent Brooke. We saw that their focus was on the greater mission, right? Become the incredible leader in the United States Army, and then to go out even beyond that, and become CEO, president, whatever, political aspirations. And so what we decided to do was sacrifice what we call like a temporary burden for the greater good. What you don't realize, and I wrote in my article, I didn't realize until writing this and 13 years later, what you don't realize is how much stress that places on your psyche, what that really does to who you are. You lose yourself in a way, because at no point are your cultural differences and your Blackness looked at as a strength. It's always looked at as a weakness that I have to minimize, right? I can't, instead of telling us to stop sitting together at the football game,
right?
Ask us why we are. Why? Because many of our brothers are playing on a team. We come to the game every every Saturday, win, lose, or draw, in the rain. We're big support to them. Like, so instead of looking at us as like, oh, they're leading the core in supporting the football team, which has all different races and nationalities, they're saying, that looks funny. That could be threatening. Why is that the perception? Why haven't leadership, why haven't fellow cadets, why hasn't the public at large checked their biases? It's not on us to make you feel comfortable about our blackness. We're going to be black now, tomorrow, and when we die. But what we have is strengths that you should take into account. And what we find is to protect others from feeling threatened or questioning what are our motives, we just shrink. We assimilate.
Right.
Stop doing those things that are inherent to our culture.
So when you take all of that into account, being black, being a woman, being a cadet, which is, you know, just in itself, no matter your race, color, creed, you're less than officers and upperclassmen and you know, all of these things are telling you to be smaller. But coming into this thing, you guys are some of the most elite individuals the United States has to offer. Absolutely. You know, you had opportunities to go to many schools. You know, my wife had opportunity to go to Stanford and she chose West Point, right? You know, and I'm sure many of y'all have that story. And so all of that is still, they're telling you to be broken down. And then when it's all said and done, 2 weeks before you graduate, these young ladies say, I'm going to take 5 seconds of my life and I'm going to say, I'm proud of what I have done. I'm proud of what I have accomplished because I'm going to graduate here next month. And then I'm going to get my papers. It's going to send me anywhere in the world, which I'm really going to be going back to square one. Right. You know what I mean? And once again, America messes that up.
Gets it wrong. They get it wrong, right? Because again, they won't check their biases at the door. They won't. I call it pulling off the bandages. You won't actually rip the bandage from the wound and admit, you know what? Yeah, I did feel some kind of way when I saw that. I did feel like that was Black Panther or whatever, you know, Black Lives Matter. Like they won't admit it. But if you admit that you did have an initial bias, then you can actually open it up and have a decent conversation about it. Like that's really, if I'm proud of anything that has come from all of this is one, these young ladies know that there's a group of women and men out there from all over the world that has their back. So that's one, because that's why I did it, is for them. But two, it is forcing people to have conversations that they've never had before. Like to be honest and say, you know what, yeah, I did feel some kind of way, but now that you're telling a story about what it's really like to be there, maybe I had it wrong. Or maybe I should consider another way. And that's really what we want, right? That the only way you really get change, true change, is to open that dialogue. That's it. Because America is so polarized, right? This is what I believe, and I'm not moving. I'm not moving from it. And what it is because both sides are so solid or stuck in how they believe, they're not willing to open that dialogue. And that dialogue has to be honest, it has to be raw, and it has to be respectful. And we're missing. So
let me ask you this, and obviously you guys are a very tight knit group of not only within West Point, but the West Point Black women. You guys have a great relationship. Not calling any names, but what kind of responses have you gotten behind, you know, are folks happy, largely happy, or the unhappy, kind of mixed on the fact that you took this position?
Well, the constant response that I've gotten is, wow, you're brave. And I don't think I've really taken that into account, that, you know, that there could be negative repercussions. I think I was so focused on these young ladies because I know them. I call some of them little sisters. In my emotion, I just didn't have time to think about myself in it. But I'll say by and large, I've gotten nothing but support. My inbox is filling up now from people all over the world lending their support, saying, I cannot believe that we will lend this amount of scrutiny to young ladies who are going to be our leaders. There's some perspective that's beginning to happen because these dialogues are beginning to occur. I'm so proud that most of the grads that have reached out to me don't look like me. They don't. They're in class. They're in the early classes too, class of 1980 through 90s. where they went through the turmoil of trying to integrate women, Black women, Hispanic women, Native American women into the Corps, and all of that came with it. And they're reaching out, and I'm so overwhelmed. There are people who are contacting me that